Hello and welcome to another episode of A Friendly Film Take, a film and television podcast by Film News Blitz, where I, Dan Lawrence, joined by a friendly face for friendly film and television discussion and debate. And the friendly face we have today is, I guess we could say, a Doctor Who superfan. I think that's fair. Heidi Hardman-Welsh. Hello, Heidi. Welcome along.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. And I think I've clued people in as to what we're going to be chatting about in your intro. We're going to be talking about Doctor Who. And if you don't know what Doctor Who is, where have you been for the last 62 years? Long running staple of British science fiction, and a pretty cool show that's had some rocky few years. And there's been some announcements as to what the future holds for the show. So we're going to be talking about that. But first, as you're a new face on A Friendly Film Take, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. Film questions, not TV questions. What's been your favourite film of 2025 so far? And what's been your biggest letdown?
My favourite film of 2025, even though it came out last year technically because it is a foreign film, because it
Okay.
came out in Latvia first, and it is Flow, which
Ah.
is the most, honestly, it's probably my favourite film of all time. It's just the most beautiful, no dialogue, animated film, and it won a Grammy this year. And just looking at my letterbox, I would say that one of the biggest letdowns. I did not like the newest Jurassic World film.
That's the same. I think that's what I picked as my biggest letdown on the
Yeah,
first episode. Yeah, terrible. Really boring.
yeah, it was quite underwhelming.
But it made loads of money, so we're going to get another one.
Probably.
The way the world works. Do you know what? I still haven't seen Flow. How bad is that? And it's a
Oh,
cat.
it's just so good. It's just beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. Talking of beautiful things, there was for Whovians out there in the world, there was a pretty good announcement last week. Maybe a surprise announcement. I was certainly surprised as I was doom scrolling on my phone and saw BBC Doctor Who pop up with Doctor Who will be back next Christmas, 2026, with a special written by Russell T Davies, and Disney are no longer involved, which for me was a bit of a double whammy in terms of positive news to know that the show's going to have a future of sorts, and to know that Disney aren't going to be meddling, because from a personal standpoint, I haven't enjoyed Disney's influence over the last couple of years on Doctor Who. And it's come after a bit of a rocky period for the show, hasn't it, really? Because we had the end of season 2, or what would it be? Because they started as season 1, didn't they, with Disney? It should be like series 15 or something, shouldn't it, really?
I think that it would be a lot better now once the Disney involvement leaves, because I think Doctor Who was always its best when it was its cheapest.
Yes.
I don't think it necessarily needs the big budget. And I also find that when they had the big budget, it's or everything was put on sort of the effects rather than the actual writing. And because Doctor Who was always known as that show that sort of haggled things together, used a lot of real life props and stuff like that, and built their sets. And then a lot of the money and the effort went into the writing and the writers. And I think
Yeah.
that's what made it such a good, such a heartwarming and memorable show. And I think now that Disney, we're not entirely sure why they've stopped their partnership, are we?
Well, there's been theories. So yeah, I think the original deal was they came in with the 60th anniversary specials, didn't they? And then the 2 series with Ncuti Gatwa, and then we have this upcoming spin-off, The War Between the Land and the Sea,
Yeah,
coming
yeah.
out towards the end of this year. And that was the original deal. And then I think basically it doesn't as well on Disney Plus in America as they thought it would. I mean, it's an inherently British show, so I don't know if that's a surprise. So they were dilly-dallying around about whether they were going to continue or not with the BBC, which is, I think, partly why Ncuti Gatwa's departed us so soon after only like 16 episodes. Some of those he's barely in. And that's why we got that sort of 11th hour Hail Mary regeneration into Billy Piper, which is pretty crazy. And I think maybe next Christmas Russell T Davies has to write himself out of that corner he's backed himself into. So yeah, that's kind of where it's all kind of unraveled, really. And I agree with you about the budget. I think there has been a lot of focus on the effects when, if you have a tighter budget, then it forces you to be more creative with the writing, or make sure, the writing has to be so good that it compensates, which the show's always done really successfully in the past. So yeah, that's where my head's with that. Yes. What do you think about the way Series 2 ended and the prospect of Russell T Davies being the guy behind the Christmas special next year?
Well, have you also seen that there's rumors that Russell T Davis might be leaving as a showrunner for the last time? That the Christmas episode that comes out next December, there was an article in the Mirror, which isn't always reliable, but that it might be Russell T Davis' final showdown. So people are suggesting that he might put his all into this Christmas episode, and since it might be his last appearance, what would you think if it was his last time on the show? Would you say that's a good thing or a bad thing?
I think, to be honest, it's a really good thing. I think obviously he did an amazing job his first time round and basically brought the show back. And some of the best episodes are written by him. But I think this second period has been too much of nostalgia, particularly for his era of the show. So we had the 60th anniversary specials, which were more. I mean, it was great to see David Tennant back because he just is the show in a way. Like, he's so invested, and like it only took like a second of him being back on screen and you felt like you were like, oh, it's David Tennant's Doctor again. But those 60th anniversary specials felt more like a celebration of 2008 than the whole show. And then he's bookended Ncuti Gatwa's time with another sort of hark back to nostalgia. So Ncuti Gatwa has been bookended by David Tennant coming back and then Billy Piper surprisingly coming back. And it feels like the show needs to go forward. And I felt like the finales of both of these seasons of Ncuti Gatwa, I think, have missed a step. They felt like a lot of build up in the first half of each finale, but then rushed in the second half of the finale. I just think it's time that it goes somewhere new in terms of a showrunner. I don't know if it was the Mirror, it may have been the Radio Times, but saying like one of the best episodes of the past two seasons was Rogue, and that was written by new writers who hadn't written for the show before. So, and it's interesting, the statement that came out last week said he was writing the Christmas special, and then it said plans for the season afterwards will emerge soon. Mm-hmm. So I thought the fact that they hadn't just gone, oh, he'll keep being showrunner, I think you're probably right. And maybe the Mirror, pinch of salt, is right as well. So that's where I am with it. What about you?
I saw someone say that maybe it's time to move on from Russell T Davies. Like, he was, like you said, he was fantastic at bringing the show back in 2005. He's really good at full series length stories, or he was in his first era, even though I find that my favorite episodes were always written by different people. I think he's good at like an overarching theme, but when it comes to individual episode writing, I always preferred Moffat. And I saw someone else say that they find, because he's been with the show for so long, because he's had such a big involvement in quite a big part of it, that he's sort of just playing with everything that he can because he can, and because he's got a connection to so many characters in so many seasons. He just keeps bringing them back because he's trying to find that spark that made it so sort of like mind-blowing in the 2010s, early 2000s. And so he keeps bringing back these little nostalgia bites to make it interesting again. But I think it needs a completely different angle and a completely different voice and face, just to try something new, but not too new that it steers too far away from the actual essence of what the show has always been about, which is just like a sci-fi with good actors, good writing, good characters that makes you care about the people, but also about what they're fighting for. Yeah, I would just say I also want to add, I don't think Billie Piper should be the next Doctor. We're not even entirely really sure that she is, because it was just kind of like well, it's
Yeah.
her face. That's the end of the episode. No, you won't know anything for like 2 years. But I don't think she should be it, because it doesn't really make that much sense. And I think it was just the like bringing David Tennant back sort of worked, because it was like he's basically the face of Doctor Who. Like, after Tom Baker, I would still say Tom Baker's quite a big part
Mm.
to the image of it, but David Tennant is what everyone knew. So, and since he was such a pinnacle of RTD's era, bringing him back, it was all right. It made sense, and I think David still has the acting abilities to make it work and make it make sense. But I think bringing it's just it keeps circling back to that specific like 10 era, like bringing Billie Piper back. It's just another love interest of the 10th Doctor. I saw someone make a video that was like, Christopher Eccleston is the guy that David Tennant turned from, and then Matt Smith is the guy that David Tennant turned into, and then it's like Ncuti Gatwa turns David Tennant, and then everything comes back to David Tennant. And I love David Tennant. He's my favorite. He's great. But I think we need to go at a different angle at it, get a completely different actor, and just try something new. What do you
Yeah.
think?
I agree, and I mean, I think the reason we got David Tennant first time round is for whatever reason, and I think the core reason was probably writing. The Jodie Whittaker era ultimately failed, which is a real shame because she's phenomenal. And I think in that last episode where she's in the TARDIS with Ncuti Gatwa, that felt like her best. I was like, oh, we missed this version of her Doctor. So, and it being the 60th anniversary, I think they needed David Tennant to come back and just give it a boost, and it did work temporarily. But at the same time, what could have been even more phenomenal is we had Ncuti Gatwa already leading in those 60th anniversary specials, and then it being maybe a multi-Doctor story. I mean, I'm clamoring for Matt Smith to come back just for like one episode. That would be, given how much he loves the show. And then the thing is with David Tennant as well, we've got this bi-generation nonsense, which hasn't been explained properly. It's full of such annoying plot holes. You've just got like this 14th Doctor David Tennant's just like chilling out somewhere. Like, what's he
Yeah.
doing? He's which I think has always clouded over Chuti's reign. And then regenerating to Billie Piper's face. One, I agree. I don't think that she'll be the Doctor because they made a very big point at the end credits of not crediting her as the Doctor.
Yeah.
They credited
When they usually do.
Jodie Whittaker and Ncuti. Yeah. And then there's the theories of like he used the heart of the TARDIS to like trigger his regeneration, and who was the last person to meddle with that was Rose. So maybe it's some sort of weird bad wolf thing going on. But one of the reasons I hope it's not Billie Piper is that given how much basically Rose was a love interest of the Doctor, and as an adult going back and watching series 10, I watch it and I'm like, oh, they're already in like a full blown relationship, like around space, like they are flirting. They're like these people are fully in love with each other, like before they get to the beach, at the end of series 2. So it's almost like turning into the face of like someone like that. It's like fetishizing yourself or something. It's really weird. I don't quite get it. It'd be like if I turned into my wife. Like, it's weird. I don't think that should be. So I think again, and like you say, new showrunner. Let's have a new face, new Doctor, new era. And I do think that Russell T Davies will need to, explain what he's done with this. I also think it would have been better if it ended with Ncuti regenerating and then we didn't see who he turned into. And then we were left
Yeah.
on that sort of cliffhanger rather than going, oh, crikey, that was a bit desperate. Why have we got Billy Piper's face? Whereas if we did just not had a face turn up, it'd be like, oh, okay, this is interesting.
They could have left it more open.
Yeah. But then again, the caveat of that is, would that help? Because we're now waiting until next Christmas. Would the only question of who's it going to be sustain the show long enough in that time away? Whereas this whole Billy Piper thing, there's so many questions. I hope he I mean, what's quite if there's a new showrunner, it means we can park the whole by generation nonsense because that's just a mess. I don't know how you feel about it, but I just cannot stand.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a bunch of random lore bits that certain writers have tried to force into certain seasons, and then maybe other showrunners have just ignored that and moved on. So either it gets explained or we just never talk about it again, I think.
I'm happy with either way, to be honest, as long as it's like a line's drawn under it. Because then the Rani, the newer version, died in the last episode, but then the older version doesn't die when that happens, which is interesting. Yeah, I feel like they need to. I think a lot of theories is that next Christmas is going to bring back David Tennant again, as well as Billy Piper.
Drag him back for a fourth time.
Fourth, yeah, the guy needs to say no at this point. Yeah, interesting. Okay. Also, another big gripes I've had with Disney's involvement was the whole release schedule. Like first season on iPlayer at midnight, and then to coalesce with the Eastern time release. Like, why are we pandering to them? It's our show. And then I think it bumped up to like 5 a.m. or something for the second series. And then you could watch it on the telly still at Saturday night, but
I think that's part of the issue, really. Like you said, that Disney's sort of backing out because they tried to aim for an American audience and it didn't work out. It's like how in the 90s when the Eighth Doctor only got an Americanized film and then that didn't even do very well. It's happened before, but they're trying again. And maybe just stick with the formula. The BBC does it well, and BBC iPlayer does it well.
Yeah.
And if they schedule it for the audience that has always been there, then the audience outside of it will still come anyway.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, I mean, as well, 8 episodes a season wasn't enough. Probably impacted by the fact that they've done a spin because they wanted to do spin-offs starting with this one we're getting. I don't think Doctor Who necessarily needs spin-offs, really.
Yeah.
I mean, although like Sarah Jane Adventures pretty cool, Torchwood pretty cool, but they were done on like a budget, completely sort of. But I don't think it necessarily needs spin-offs. I would hope that the BBC would be looking to expand the amount of episodes. Because I used to love like you'd get a few episodes, then like a mid-season 2-parter. I mean, in the early noughties, we were really eating well, and then there'd be like another 2-parter because it was 13 episodes a season. Then we get the finale. But I'd be happy with just 10 episodes. You know, a couple of standalones, 2-parter, a couple more standalones, and then 2-parter. But 1 2-parter is just not enough.
Yeah, a lot of series do that nowadays. They just keep shortening them. It's like they want to make films so badly.
Yeah.
But that's not how the structure of the show works. I think 14 episodes was always very good, but at least 10 would be nice. Yeah.
So this is what we need to tell the BBC, and hopefully they'll be watching and taking all our advice. Also, I mean, it used to be like Doctor Who used to be on like I think before Strictly, or was it on after? I think it was like they used to put it in like really good slots in the schedule, but I don't know whether the show could do that now because the ratings aren't as good. But it'd be like amazing if it was on like the same time as Strictly, like one of the really big shows. So then you've already got like the audience on the telly, like, I know iPlayer is really important, but I would prefer it if, it's a simultaneous iPlayer television release on the Saturday night, and whoever they get in as the new distribution partner for international is something like Prime or whatever, who just like slap it on, and aren't making the BBC dance to their tune. It's more the other way around. Just so that, because it does have an international audience who do want to watch it. So that's my put it on like at the same time as the Traitors, or like just before Traitors. So everybody's like, oh, Traitors is on tonight. Oh, Doctor Who's on first. Let's watch that. That's my dream. So again, if the BBC are listening, that's what they should do.
I think with the spin-off, the War Between the Land and the Sea, I think I'll watch it and it'll probably be good. The posters and stuff look pretty good, and the images. I don't know if it gives me the idea that maybe the BBC wants to step away from the main concept of Doctor Who, though, because it's not like, is the Doctor really going to be in that show at all, or are they just completely separating it from that
it's
dynamic?
separate. It's got all the unit people in it, but I think it's more to do with Disney. It's like the last thing that, because I remember Russell T Davies wrote in a statement that he wanted to create something with Disney that was akin to like the Marvel universe. So I think the plan would have been just like, there would have been like a Doctor Who series and then a spin-off, a Doctor Who series and then a spin-off. So I think it's more that this is airing because we've got to watch it, because it's been made. Then that's like end of the Disney partnership, and I would assume that it would just be Doctor Who standalone series from then on. But it's interesting you mentioned the Eighth Doctor as well. That's another Doctor that I think would really benefit with an appearance, because if you listen to his Paul McGann's stuff as the Eighth Doctor on Big Finish on the audio, he's so good. He's really doctory. I know
I love the film.
Him as.
I think the film's great. I've actually met Paul McGann.
Oh,
I met him at a Manchester Comic-Con. I didn't even know he was going to be there, but I just saw his face and I got to speak to him for a little minute. And I was saying to him how I think he should have had his own episodes and his own full season instead of just a film. Like, he's got the audios, he does, but I think he would have been such a good Doctor. Even now, he still looks like the Doctor now, and he was just so friendly. And he actually said to me, "Go tell Russell T Davies that then."
Yeah, maybe we would have got, if the Disney thing had worked out, maybe we would have got a spin-off of his adventures. But yeah, his stuff on Big Finish is really good, and he still does it. I think he's got a great voice. He's got a wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, he said that he'd love to go back, and I mean, he did a little appearance, didn't he?
But yes, that was
he's never properly got more than that.
Yeah, there's that little short episode before the fifth. That was before the 50th, wasn't it? Yeah, it was like a little 8-minute.
His face appeared, I'm pretty sure, in Jodie's seasons when it was like all the old Doctors in like the spacey place.
Yeah, he did that. Yeah. No, but there was, before the 50th anniversary special, and I think it was only released on iPlayer, there was an 8-minute little short with him.
Oh no, yeah. It's really good, that though, as well.
Yeah. So that'd be cool. So basically, what we need is a multi-Doctor story with him, Matt Smith. Yeah. Talking of Doctors, Ncuti Gatwa is the 15th Doctor, because the numbers are really ramping up now. What do you make of him as the character and his tenure? What did you like? What didn't you like? Where would you maybe rank him in the Doctors we've had in the modern era?
Well, I think he had a lot of potential, and I think if he stayed on for longer, he could have had the same sort of character development as other Doctors did. I think he had a lot of good dark moments as well, where you could see. I think though his and it wasn't just because he's physically the youngest Doctor, isn't he? That the youngest actor to play the Doctor.
Yeah, it's either him or Matt Smith.
I think Matt Smith was at the time. I think he might be now.
Yeah.
But so I think that kind of sets it back a little bit because he doesn't seem as wise as the Doctor is meant to be, or as old as the Doctor is meant to be, because obviously he's very old by now.
Mm.
And yeah, I think certain parts of the writing even reminds me a bit of the like awkwardness that could happen in like Jodie's era, where I felt like the writing didn't necessarily fit with the situation, and certain episodes were just a bit like throwaway episodes. I mean, that happens in Doctor Who generally. Like you get the very good ones, you get the ones that you're probably going to skip if you were doing a rewatch. I think he had a lot of potential, and I think even if he just had more episodes per season, he could have done a lot better. Yeah. I
Yeah,
think
I
he was
agree
gone too
with
soon.
you. I think one of the things I didn't like, I liked it to begin with, was how his Doctor was more emotional. But then we got to the point where there was a silent tear rolling down his face in like every episode, and it completely lost its emotional impact. It's like, okay, well, you're crying, but this feels like your base level of reaction, so it's not an
Yeah.
extraordinary thing anymore.
Cry less.
Yeah, I think, but that's kind of maybe maybe writing, TV direction. I don't a combination of the both two. And I agree with you. And it's a shame we got 2 seasons, but there were small seasons, and there was episodes in each season where he's barely in them. So it feels like we've barely seen him. And I agree with you. And the fact that he was originally committed to keep going, but I think he's got a Hollywood career that's just gearing up, and he couldn't afford to wait around to see what Doctor Who decided. Because if a big film comes in, he goes, "Oh, I may or may not be busy for 4 months." I don't think
Yeah.
he can afford to do that. Because I think what he said in his like goodbye message that he was tired, and I was like, I don't really buy that, Ncuti, because you are probably the most physically fit of any actor who's ever like
That's
played
true.
the role. Like the guy is in really good shape, so I didn't quite buy that. So I think, which is a shame, that I think we should have seen more of him. And it's a sort of, I feel that again with Jodie, it's a shame that we didn't see more of her with better episodes. I mean, particularly her first couple of series when she's got like 3 companions and there's not enough screen time for her to really shine, I felt was a mistake. And then you go back to the Moffat era with Capaldi. Stephen Moffat did something really, really interesting with the first season of Capaldi, where he took a whole series to like develop what that Doctor was, rather than like you get that regeneration episode or a couple episodes where they figure out who they are. It took
Yeah.
like a whole episode,
I
the
love
whole
it.
series for the 12th Doctor to figure out who he was, which I thought when you watched them in isolation as it was happening, you're like, what's happening here? But then you go back and do like a rewatch of that series, you're like, that's absolutely incredible, and was really important because we knee jerk from a really young Doctor to an older Doctor. So for me, I rank him lower than than the likes of Capaldi, Smith, Eccleston, who, although we got one series of, was absolutely incredible, and you knew who he was from like the very first minute. But I think
That
the
is,
writing was really hot for that first series because they
yeah.
just
When you think about that is quite a stark difference, really, because Eccleston really did only get one season, but he was still so notable, so charismatic, so memorable. And Ncuti did get 2 seasons, slightly more episodes. But I feel like if would you have wanted Eccleston to have more seasons? I think because he had a row with
he
Russell T
does.
Davies in the
Yeah,
show.
he's doing the audio stuff now, which is pretty cool. I mean, in hindsight, yes, but at the same time, does him continuing and never having that falling out with BBC and Russell T Davies? Well, not BBC, the producers of Doctor Who at the time. Does that stop David Tennant and the 10th Doctor, which is
Yeah.
really when I really started watching the show. So I would say no. The one series is fine because we get like just this perfect storm of 13 episodes where Christopher Eccleston brought the show back essentially. Without him, I guess it doesn't really continue because he does a really good job. So I'm going to ask. Well, you've kind of alluded to it already. What's your favourite of the modern Doctors then?
It's a fight between 10 and 12. They're at each other's necks, and I can never decide. Yeah, because 10, it's very much like in a nostalgia way. Because 10 was always my Doctor. Like he was always definitely my favorite. And like when I met David Tennant, it was just like life changing. But then when I got a bit older, I really loved Capaldi in a different way. And I feel like especially in a different way because not a lot of people watched his episodes, watched his seasons. Like if I talk about Doctor Who and I say if I say David Tennant's my favorite, everyone's like, "Oh yeah, yeah, cool." If I say Peter Capaldi's my favorite, they're immediately like, "What? Why? Ew, why?" Just immediate aversion. I'm like, "Well, maybe you weren't paying attention enough." Because I loved his seasons. I loved Clara. She's one of my favorite companions. I loved their bond and everything. I think he was a really well-written Doctor.
Yeah.
I think no matter what the episode was, especially because it was Peter Capaldi, he could turn it into a good episode because of how good he was at being the character and how believable he was in his ability to be like wise, but also witty, but also have a little bit of whimsy as well. I just thought he was so pinnacle of the Doctor in so many ways that I just loved every minute of him. Like especially like some of his really big two-parters like Heaven Sent and Hellbent. I thought they were just like just the best of that Doctor Who could be. Like
Yeah.
that was everything that meant to me. Like it's still it had like you cared so much about the companions almost just as much as the Doctor, and you just every single part of his story arc, like the whole part of Am I a Good Man? I thought that was so interesting because I don't think that was really looked into with Doctor before. Like he's done like in Tennant's era, he did his whole like Time Lord Victorious thing. He went very dark where he was a bit like um very big-headed, very full of himself. He was suddenly like, wow, I have all this power. Maybe I should use it. Maybe I deserve to use it. And then it was like it was a really interesting look into the Doctor as a character then. And then with Capaldi, it was like I've been alive for so long. I've met so many people. So many of them have died. What? Who am I? And it was just so interesting. Such a different look at the character that I could never look away. Yeah, I love, I love
That's
the
a really good appraisal.
Mm.
He was phenomenal. I must admit. I wouldn't put him as my. I think I still err towards Tennant for nostalgia. But then yeah, Smith is really hot on his heels. I think because of how good a job he did of keeping the show going. And I think that series 5, so his first series, is the best series of Doctor Who. It has an incredible like story of like the crack in the wall and that like and how
Yeah.
like that building up. I mean, the first episode, I remember watching it and being like, "Oh my god, David Tennant's gone! Like, we've got this guy who's nobody's ever heard of." And within 5 minutes, I was like, "Sweet, okay, cool." Like, I'm really
That's
right.
why we need another guy that no one's ever heard of.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, and I think he was so he was so doctory because he was so weird and alien. But then at the same time, yeah, Capaldi was like a bit of a grower and had this wonderful paternal thing that he molded into, but he still had that anger and like yeah, Heaven Sent, Hellbent particularly is like absolutely heartbreaking as well. And another thing I really enjoyed about the Moffat era, I know we were talking about Doctors, but I'm just like on a tangent. I enjoyed how the companions stuck around for quite, apart from Bill, the companions stuck around for a long time. So like you had Amy and Rory and Matt Smith's Doctor. It's like a unit that stuck around for like multiple seasons, which meant when you lost them, it was like even more like brutal. And the show, it felt really familiar every time it came back. And then similarly with Clara, and the Clara one's really interesting of how they did the dynamic shift from 11 to 12, and then how like it was really refreshing as well to see. I think you had Rose as a love interest, Martha as a unrequited love interest, and then we shifted into friends, which was a bit better. And then you had like Clara kind of fancied 11, but then 12. It then just they really loved each other, but it was like a paternal bond more so, which I really enjoyed as well.
I will say, with even though Bill wasn't around for long, and spoilers, she doesn't technically die, but when she did die, I thought that was one of the most devastating episodes ever.
Yeah, that was pretty brutal from Stephen Moffat to do that. I was like, "Fuck you, man!" Like, Christ, like, what a way to go. Yes, no. Can we say spoilers? It was like it's a really long time ago now.
Okay,
It's like
when
10
she was
years.
turned into a Cyberman, I
Yeah, it's
thought
more
that
than 10 years ago. No,
I
maybe
I
it can't be.
oh my god, I couldn't believe that. I was so devastated. But I thought their bond was really good as well. I liked Bill, and I've
Yeah.
also met Pearl Mackie.
Oh,
Just call
cool. Yeah, she's a
She
bit of
was
a
really
super.
nice. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I mean, also in those episodes as well, those finale, you get like Peter Capaldi's like monologue at the
I
two,
also
Master and Missy. That is like where he
Yeah,
encapsulates the show.
yeah.
That's good writing and
Uh,
good
I
performance.
also That's what I also loved about Capaldi's seasons. I liked Missy as the master character. I thought the dynamic that she had with the Doctor was so different to what the master was before. It was just so
Mm,
interesting. Yeah.
yeah.
But I also do love Matt Smith. I do love every Matt Smith episode as well. I thought he was fantastic as well.
And then and that's another thing with showrunners introducing things and maybe forgetting what's gone before is then we got a really good, I think, Chris Chibnall's Master he wrote. Is it Sasha Darwan? Is that I don't know if that's the name of the actor. I'm sorry if I got that wrong. Who's really good in the role and is a really like wicked, evil master. But it's like where do you place this one? Because we've just had Missy and sort of like having a massive character arc. It's like, is this regeneration after that? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Is it before? Does that? And
Yeah,
then
I think the personality change didn't make loads of sense. I think it made sense from Ten's like master version. What I can't remember the actor's name.
John Sim.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
him. I kind of do think the development between John Sim's master and then Missy made sense, sort of, because I felt they always had, because obviously the master is sort of the Doctor's oldest friend,
yeah, yeah,
and they always had this dynamic where they did hate each other, but in the end, they'd always sort of be drawn back to one another. And I think around that time, Missy made sense, and then it suddenly went straight back to very evil. When I
yeah,
think it could have had maybe a more interesting arc than that.
yeah. And then we got the whole timeless child thing, which
Yeah.
a lot of people are still very pretty split on. I mean, it's pretty. I mean, it was a bit of a. It's a mad swing through the lore of the show,
I
but
think it does take away like every single thing that was ever explained before.
yeah, it is. It felt like erasure a little bit in terms of to just create some sort of, I guess, surprising backstory. But then by generation is a similarly divisive thing. That that's why I think again swinging all the way back to by generation and why that irks me so much is that it's come really close to another seismic shift in like the backstory of the character with the whole timeless child thing. So to have those in like relatively close, it felt like after timeless child we needed to be a bit more like steady with introducing things like that. Um, and then the whole sort of gods thing as well in the most recent blah 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 most recent series. Anyway, I digress. We'll go for one more question before we wrap up. And I mean, this is a really difficult one, I guess. But we've been talking about a new face. Who's in your short? Have you created a short list of who you'd like to be? If it's not going to be Billy Piper, which we don't think it will be, who would you like to be the Doctor in the future?
I've always seen a lot of people say Ben Whishaw. Do you
Yep.
know
Yep. Voice of Paddington.
the voice of Paddington? He was also very good in what is it called? This Is Going to Hurt. He was very good in that. I think he has the same sort of look as Matt Smith and Tennant did that always worked very well as that sort of boyish doctor. But then, what's I found like an older suggestion. You think and tell me what your
Okay.
idea is.
Well, Ben Wishaw's a really good shout. And even though he has a boyish look, I mean, he's actually quite getting on a bit now.
Yeah.
My only problem is he's now started appearing on things like Netflix. Can the BBC afford him? that's what worries me. It's like, can the BBC afford Ben Whishaw? I keep seeing clips of this, the medical drama keep popping up on my Instagram. I'm going to watch it, I think, because in the clips, he's very, like, he does feel a bit doctory in that. And he's playing a doctor.
Very good. He's very good.
Yeah, I mean, he's phenomenal, isn't he? Yeah, he's good as Q as well. Oof, who would I want? I mean, there's a choice now. We've opened up. It can be male and female, can't it? So, a friend of mine mentioned the actress who just won an Emmy in Adolescence, and I'm going to get her name.
Oh yeah, I also saw that be suggested.
Her odds are quite short as well if you look at like bookies and stuff like that. I think it's Erin Doherty.
Yeah.
So that's another one that could be. Yeah, but Ben Wishaw's a good shout. I'm trying to think. I mean, if it's an unknown, it's an unknown. We don't necessarily know their name. Jodie Comer would be cool, but she's a bit too big now of a star.
I think it would be good to sort of take it way back and maybe get like a really old person as the doctor, because we've not had someone very old for a while, but all the original doctors were always seen as very old. I mean, William Hartnell was like, what, 70, 80? And it's sort of got younger as it's gone on. Peter Capaldi.
You say that. William Hartnell was actually the same age as Capaldi. But because it was the 60s, everybody looked about 20 years older. So he's actually in his like mid to late 50s when he starts. Patrick Troughton was quite, It wasn't until like Davidson that he got a bit younger. But yeah, they are normally a bit older. He could be like Sean Bean. That'd be cool, but he's too expensive.
So someone cheap and available.
Who was your other name? Have you found it?
No, I can't think. It was some sort of Sean Bean would be way too expensive for Doctor Who. It was some sort of old actor, but now I can't remember. I just think that they should really, even if it's like an old female actress, I think they should really nail in on like the age, the whys, because they haven't done an old lady as the Doctor.
This would be my here's a thing for you then. As a showrunner, Sally Wainwright, who's done things like Happy Valley, Last Tango in Halifax, that new series Riot Women, and then you would have as the Doctor Sarah Lancashire, who's the star of Happy Valley. Have you seen Happy Valley? It's worth a watch.
Oh, I've seen her face before, though.
Oh, she's been in Doctor Who. She was in the Adipose episode.
Oh my God,
the midwife.
Yeah, I see it.
But she's a phenomenal actress. So Last Tango in Halifax, she plays a police officer, and she's like a badass basically, and she's so strong. She'd be a really good doctor, and obviously she's an actress who's a bit older, so she'd fit your criteria there. And then Sally Wainwright writes really compelling drama, and for the BBC. So there's mine.
I'm correct in thinking there still hasn't been a ginger doctor.
There hasn't, no, and they keep they make that joke, don't they?
What if they did a female ginger doctor?
Who would be your female ginger?
It's hard to say because I feel like everyone that I'll think of, the BBC won't be able to afford, but then it'd just be better if they just picked someone that no one knew.
Yeah. Or
So
if you went ginger, I guess Rupert Grint, he's available. He's probably quite cheap.
he's not doing anything anymore.
Yeah. Whether he'd want to do it, I don't know.
Yeah.
But that would be quite good in terms of getting bums on seats to watch it, I think.
Yeah.
Given his, like, obviously he's still really well known.
Oh, what about Domhnall Gleeson?
Oh, yeah, that's a good shout. He's also famously ginger.
He is
I'm
also
worried
famous.
he's would he be- I yeah. He has just started doing that new series for the paper, hasn't he, in America? So scheduling. It's another thing to think about.
Well, we're not the casting team anyway, so
No, this is true. As much as we'd love to be. Maybe it will be Ben Whishaw. If he's still rocking up, yeah. The money shouldn't be important. It's being the Doctor is more important than the money. So, but I guess we will await with wonder until next Christmas. Maybe we might
Yep.
find out. I mean, we're going to find out. I mean, they always tell us beforehand, don't they? It'd be cool if we never knew, wouldn't it? Imagine if we didn't know. I mean,
I
I
think
guess
it'd
they
be really
did
good
the
not to
David
know.
Tennant thing, but
You
imagine
just,
not knowing well,
you
before
just
they
don't tell you, and then David Tennant comes back again.
that then I'd scream. But imagine like not knowing that. I mean, I mean, nobody really knew who Matt Smith was, but everybody knew who Peter Capaldi was. Imagine not knowing, and then Matt Smith regenerates, and it's the bloke from The Thick of It, Malcolm Tucker's, the on screen. That would have been wild to not know.
I love Peter Capaldi. Well, technically Matt Smith's regeneration scene. I love that scene anyway, but I love when it goes on to Peter Capaldi's eyes. I think that is a great scene.
Great eyes, strong brow. That is a
His
really good
eyebrows are a staple to his character.
attack eyebrows. That's an interesting note to end on. Let's end on that. Let's end on attack eyebrows. Cool. So, thank you, Heidi, for joining me to chat about Doctor Who, and thank you, people, for watching us blabber on about Doctor Who. So, yes, make sure you like and subscribe and all that wonderful stuff. Share it with your friends, and maybe comment what you think about the show's future. But for now, yeah. Goodbye.